In today's Final Touch, a rare sight in New York City is dazzling sky gazers.
And you don't usually associate the Big Apple with sky gazing, but hundreds gathered to catch a unique glow that results when the sun is aligned with the city's grid. It's referred to as Manhattanhenge. The picture-perfect view is only visible 4 times a year, twice in May, twice in July. The best views are towards New Jersey from the eastern part of Manhattan. If you missed it this month, the phenomenon will return on July 12th and 13th. Isn't that cool?
I've heard of that before.
Manhattanhenge. That's our time for now. Thanks for watching. News 3 at 5 starts right now.
And right now at 5, a high number part of the interstate that's under construction. What reason officials say is to blame for those crashes.
1 year after the deadly Diddy and Mill explosion, a widow is remembering her husband.
And the Trump administration imposes tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from our allies. How the response from those countries could affect Wisconsin products.
This is News 3 at 5.
Thanks for staying with News 3. Officials are reminding drivers how to stay safe after a high number of crashes on a stretch of Interstate 3990 that is under construction.
We're learning what can be blamed for the recent crashes that are backing up the highway and what might be done to prevent them in the future. Madeline O'Neill joins us now to explain. Maddie?
Well, an interstate crash near Janesville right now currently has northbound lanes blocked. It's just north of Beloit. DOT cameras show flames and black smoke coming from the scene, as well as traffic at a standstill. And in the past week, the interstate near Stoughton has seen at least 3 crashes involving several cars. The most recent yesterday, which backed up cars for miles for nearly 3 hours and sent 6 to the hospital. The crash involved rear-end collisions, which Wisconsin Department of Transportation officials say are the most common type of crash in construction zones. After crashes like this, the DOT evaluates the project site.
If there are any crashes or incidents, we look into each of those and see what changes can be made to the work zone. But again, really remind the drivers to plan ahead, don't tailgate, and eliminate distractions when driving.
The DOT also works with emergency responders to plan ahead of time before crashes, letting them know about certain access points on the interstate so emergency vehicles can get there as soon as possible. And you may have noticed recent crashes like yesterday's have involved semi-trucks. We have a take from an area truck driving safety school tonight at 6.
We will see then. Thanks, Maddie.
All right, let's get a look at your first alert weather. Meteorologist Karin Swanson joining us. She is in the Weather Center. Karin?
It's been another very warm day across southern Wisconsin with the temperatures reaching the 80s. That's in advance of a cold front that is lurking across northern Wisconsin right now. There are a few showers and thunderstorms into the northern part of the state, and we may see just a pop-up shower or thunderstorm here across the southern part of Wisconsin this evening, but most areas should be staying dry. Our temperatures right now are in the 80s across the southern part of Wisconsin. We're at 84 degrees here in Madison. It's 84 in Janesville and 82 degrees in Wisconsin Dells, 82 in Platteville, and 85 degrees right now in Lone Rock. Our temperatures this evening will fall from the 80s down through the 70s. There may be that stray thunderstorm. Otherwise, increasing clouds by very late tonight with some areas of fog developing. Temperatures will drop to near 60 degrees by early tomorrow, and it looks a lot cooler and less humid tomorrow with a high of 74. The best chance of seeing the sun tomorrow will be in the afternoon. We will look ahead to the weekend coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Karin, thank you very much. Tonight, a year later, the village of Cambria remembers those who died in the Diddy and Milling explosion.
5 people were killed and a dozen more were injured on that day last May. Our Rose Schmidt spoke with a woman today who sadly lost her husband, and she joins us live from the mill where this all happened. Rose?
That's right. For people who live in the village of Cambria, today is a day they will never forget. They remember hearing and feeling that explosion. And in the case of the woman we spoke to today, she and the feeling.
It's crazy to think that 1 year ago, right now, today, Paul was at home and he was alive.
21-year-old Paul Tordoff and his wife Abigail had just moved to Cambria to be closer to his job at Diddy and Milling.
He's the silliest guy you'd ever know. He's so silly. Every picture is a different silly face.
Their baby boy, Ezria, was only 3 months old on that night in May 2017 when Paul headed off to work.
Power went out immediately. The whole town was black.
Then with one phone call from her sister, Abigail says she was further plunged into darkness.
She said, "It's Paul," and I just started screaming. And like the worst horrific scream you could ever imagine.
Abigail blames Didion for what happened to Paul. The Cambria Village president, Glenn Williams, says there is still some animosity toward Didion because it was such a tragic event.
There's definitely both emotional and physical scars that people are dealing with yet, both the victims and the responders.
The village of Cambria is working with the mill to construct a new facility to replace the one that was destroyed. An important move because it's one of the top 5 employers in the area.
It's going to be state-of-the-art, hopefully the safest mill around. At least that's what we're hoping for.
Abigail wishes that would have happened sooner. Instead, she and her baby son now visit Paul's grave, a baby first called Ezria, now named after the father he'll never know.
But I changed it to Paul after he died.
To whom she'll now need to explain the unexplainable.
And I get to explain the horrific details to my innocent child and just crush his whole, it's just gonna crush him.
Didion Milling is in the process of reconstructing the building that used to be there.
The company released a statement today saying, in part, quote, "Our focus is to honor and remember the team members we lost and who were injured. Our commitment to support our team and the Cambria community remains strong."
A missing Grant County woman who was last seen May 2nd was found dead in her vehicle. Grant County officials were looking for 58-year-old Patricia Hartline of Fenimore, who left her home May 2nd and hadn't been seen or heard from since. Hartline did not take anything with her when she left, including medications, her phone, and her purse. Sheriff's officials say Hartline's vehicle was found around noon Wednesday by a farmer. Officials say the farmer found Hartline dead inside the vehicle, but they say there is no suspected foul play. The cause of death is still under investigation.
A windsurfer who was killed on Lake Mendota last May is being remembered a year after his death. Yu
Chen was teaching a windsurfing class when he was struck by a University of Wisconsin life-saving boat. Our Keely Arthur has the details on this story that still leaves a lot of questions unanswered. Keely?
Chen died here on Lake Mendota on this day in 2017. A year later, the manner in which he died, whether it was an accident or not, has still been undetermined. That's very frustrating, as you can imagine, for family and friends, many of whom gathered at the Forest Hill Cemetery today to remember the 43-year-old. After his death, the Dane County Sheriff's Office completed their investigation, turning it over to the Dane County District Attorney's Office in the fall. Since then, the DA's office hasn't made an official announcement on this case.
The big hope is that this incident can be put to rest, and we as a community, university community, boating community, Dane County community, can move forward.
Hopefully some healing will happen tonight. A vigil in Chen's honor is being held at the Memorial Union. That begins at 8, and it is also open to the public. We're here at the Union. We're expecting to speak to family and friends. Many, as I mentioned, frustrated about the lack of information from the Dane County District Attorney's Office. We will share their story on News 3 at 10.
Keely Arthur reporting live. Keely, thank you. Police have arrested a suspect for a shooting at a residence above a State Street bar that sent the victim to a hospital for emergency medical treatment. Madison police say 28-year-old Derek Page of Madison is facing charges for first-degree reckless injury, causing great bodily harm, and possession of a firearm by a felon. Officials responded to a report of shots fired in an apartment building located above Whiskey Jack's bar on State Street on May 23rd. The shooter left the building. The 36-year-old victim had 2 gunshot wounds. He is expected to survive. Police say the 2 men know each other. A 64-year-old man is accused of driving drunk for the 14th time since 1994 after crashing his car in Wapaka County. A criminal complaint says Daniel Nordell of Almond hit a mailbox, a speed limit sign, and a utility pole in Farmington last week before he was arrested. A preliminary breath test found his blood alcohol content at 0.17. More than twice the legal limit to drive. Nordell's last conviction was in 2006 when he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. The maximum punishment for a 10th OWI or subsequent offense is 15 years in prison.
Mineral Point police are looking for a man they say burglarized a Subway. According to the Iowa County Sheriff's Department Facebook page, this happened at the Subway restaurant off Highway 23. This was around 4:30 in the morning on Memorial Day. Deputies say the suspect about 5 feet 7 inches tall. If you have any information, you're asked to call the Mineral Point Police Department. The Trump administration slapping new tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from the European Union, Canada, and Mexico set to take effect at midnight. Now all are threatening retaliatory tariffs on imports from the U.S., and that could have a devastating effect on agriculture here in Wisconsin, the largest exporter of cranberries and ginseng. Other products such as the dairy and pork products could also be significantly impacted.
First off, it makes the cost of our equipment more expensive, the cost of our buildings more expensive, but also it's the likelihood that there will be retaliatory tariffs on products that we produce and sell.
Wisconsin companies like Harley-Davidson will get pinched on both ends with higher production costs due to the tariffs on the imported metals and also duties placed on their motorcycles sold overseas. Breweries and producers of processed vegetables in Wisconsin will also pay higher costs to can their goods.
A bird found dead in Columbia County has tested positive for West Nile virus. The Wisconsin Department of Health Services says this is the first case of West Nile reported in the state this year. The virus can be spread to humans through the bite of an infected mosquito. Mosquitoes get the virus from feeding on infected birds. During 2017, 48 cases of West Nile virus infection were reported among Wisconsin residents.
The UWA system will consider tightening its hiring process and reference checks to remove potential employees with a history of sexual harassment. The proposed policy change would require all system campuses to share personnel files with each other or with state agencies. As part of a hiring review, campuses would also have to maintain documentation of allegations or investigations of sexual harassment in those personnel files. The change was prompted after newspaper investigations discovered that some employees who had left their positions following sexual harassment allegations were able to get jobs at other campuses because reference checks didn't include harassment history. The system's Board of Regents will consider that policy on June 7th.
Parking prices at Madison garages and lots will increase starting tomorrow. Only city-owned garages and lots will be affected. Parking meter rates will stay the same. Most increases are 20 to 30 cents an hour. The Transit and Parking Commission approved the changes in March. The rate increases are expected to generate approximately $650,000 in additional annual revenue for the city of Madison. For more information on the parking price increase, head to our website, channel3000.com.
And still ahead on News 3 at 5, a manhunt continues in Tennessee after a man is accused of fatally shooting a deputy.
And a historical summit between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un could still happen. What the Secretary of State is saying about that.
And the trade war fears rocked the stock market today, wrapping up the month of May down 252 points. NASDAQ off 20. The S&P lost 19. We'll be right back. A manhunt is underway in Tennessee for a suspect accused of killing a sheriff's deputy.
Stephen Wiggins is accused of shooting and killing Dickson County Sergeant Daniel Baker during a traffic stop yesterday. Officers arrested an alleged accomplice overnight in connection with the shooting. Investigators say Sergeant Daniel Baker was responding to a suspicious vehicle call when he stopped using his radio. Police used GPS to track down his patrol car, where he was found dead.
It is my prayer to God that our court will be a terror to him on the punishment he receives.
Officials say Wiggins has a lengthy and violent criminal history. There is a $12,500 reward for information leading to his arrest.
School safety back in the spotlight as the president meets with family members of the victims of the deadly Santa Fe, Texas high school shooting. 10 were killed in that attack earlier this month, the 27th shooting at a school since President Trump took office. After Parkland, the president said he would look into stricter background checks, raising the minimum age to buy assault weapons, possibly arming teachers, but no action has been taken. A 13-year-old student journalist asked Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders what the administration is doing to improve school safety.
I think that as a kid and certainly as a parent, there is nothing that could be more terrifying for a kid to go to school and not feel safe. So I'm sorry that you feel that way.
President Trump did sign a memorandum directing Attorney General Jeff Sessions to introduce regulations to ban so-called bump stocks, which were used in the Las Vegas massacre back in October.
The U.S. and North Korea continue talks aimed at resurrecting a June 12th summit between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says talks between the two countries have been good, but more work needs to be done before President Trump and Kim Jong-un can sit down for a summit.
The conditions are putting President Trump and Chairman Kim Jong-un in a place where we think there can be real progress made by the two of them meeting. It does no good if we're in a place where we don't think there's real opportunity to place them together. We've made real progress towards that in the last 72 hours.
Secretary of State Pompeo had 2 days of meetings in New York with Kim Young-chol, a top advisor to North Korea's dictator. He says the dialogue will continue.
Lava from Hawaii's Kilauea volcano is spreading to new areas now. Scientists say the lava flow is getting hotter, more fluid, faster now, covering about 6 football fields every hour. During the 4-week crisis, molten rock has spread across 4.5 square miles of the Big Island. Lava has already overrun the main road, Highway 132, leaving people in about 500 homes and vacation rentals with just one escape route left.
Let's head out to the weather patio now for a check on the forecast. Karen Swanson is watching the details. Hi, Karen.
Hi there. It's been another warm day here across the southern part of the state, but we are in for some cooler and more comfortable conditions as we head into the final day of our work week. We do have a few showers and thunderstorms on the map right now. Those are primarily well off to our southeast and also across parts of northern Wisconsin, but here across the southern part of the state, we're really not seeing too much. There is a chance that one of those showers or thunderstorms just to the north of the Wisconsin Dells area may make its way into southern Wisconsin as we head through this evening. So perhaps just a stray pop-up shower or thunderstorm, but that's about it for our evening. Our high temperatures in advance of those have made their way into the 80s across the southern part of the state. We've been as warm as 84 degrees here in Madison, as warm as 90 degrees down toward Janesville, and it looks like we're going to be in for some cooler temperatures now over the next few days. We'll be into the 70s on those highs tomorrow all the way through the weekend. We do start a climb in the temperature department as we head through next week. And as far as the longer range outlooks, this is the Climate Prediction Center outlook for the 8 to 14 day period, and it is showing a good tendency towards some warmer than normal temperatures across pretty much the western 3/4 of the country, including the state of Wisconsin. Our almanac for today here in Madison show temperatures at 84 degrees and 69. Normals for today are 73 and 51. Right now in Madison, it's 84 degrees. Winds are out of the west at 7 miles per hour, and the air pressure is holding steady. We've got temperatures that are still well into the 80s in many spots. It's 82 degrees right now in Wisconsin Dells as well as in Platteville, 82 in Monroe, and 84 in Janesville, 85 degrees in Lone Rock. Those temperatures are warmer than they were yesterday at this time. We're on average about about 5 to almost 15 degrees warmer across much of southern Wisconsin. Dew points have come down just a bit since yesterday, but still feeling some of that humidity out here tonight. And we'll deal with some of that humidity into early tomorrow as well. But eventually those dew points should start to drop off as we head into especially tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures across the rest of the region are warm as well. We've got many temperatures that are well into the 90s, 95 degrees over toward Omaha, Nebraska. There's that cold front I was mentioning that's just been kind of lurking in the northern part of the state. That swings through overnight. We will see more clouds with that for the first part of tomorrow, but then we do get into some sunshine for tomorrow afternoon. As we head through the weekend, that next storm system approaches out of the west, and that brings us a chance of showers and thunderstorms Saturday afternoon, although I think the better chances will hold off until later Saturday afternoon and into Saturday night. All of that comes to an end during the first part of Sunday. Tonight's temperature down to 60 degrees. There may be that stray pop-up thunderstorm this evening. Otherwise, looking at an increase in the clouds then late tonight with some areas of fog possible. Temperatures tomorrow back up to 74. We'll see some clouds in the morning, then some sunshine develops for the afternoon, looking less humid by tomorrow afternoon as well. Here are some of those few pop-up showers or thunderstorms this evening. Then here comes that next deck of clouds. Here's by 7 a.m. tomorrow. You can see that moving in from the north, but that fades away as we head through tomorrow afternoon. Looking at those high temperatures rebounding into the 70s with some of that sunshine for tomorrow afternoon. Behind that, we do have that next storm system that arrives for the weekend. That brings us some shower and thunderstorm chances, generally from later Saturday into the first part of Sunday. Temperatures stay a bit cooler, fairly typical actually for this time of the year as we head through the weekend. But we do start that climb again next week, looking like a fairly dry stretch of weather through Wednesday. And then we do get into a few shower and thunderstorm chances again by later next week. Now your first alert traffic, and it has been a pretty active afternoon. This is the live view from our Department of Transportation camera at I-3990 and County Road S. Looking to the north, and traffic is stopped right there. We do have some lane closures on I-3990 in that northbound or westbound direction. Some closures from Turtle all the way up through La Prairie right now. Southbound side also in that same area because of that incident, seeing some of those slowdowns to around 10 to 20 miles per hour. Also seeing a couple of incidents on the Beltline at this hour. Those are in the eastbound direction. One is at Fish Hatchery Road. There are another two, one at Rimrock Road and one at John Nolan Drive. All of those are being reported as some vehicles that are on the side of the road because of those incidents, and we are seeing some slowdowns in both directions with that. Eastbound, seeing some of those slowdowns between about 10 and 15 miles per hour. Westbound, seeing some slowdowns right around 25 miles per hour. So here are some of your eastbound times and speeds. We're looking at 43 miles per hour from University Avenue out to Verona Road. Verona Road to John Nolan Drive has an average speed of about 17 miles per hour. Then back in that westbound direction, John Nolan Drive to Verona Road, seeing an average speed just under 30 miles per hour.
All right, thanks, Cars.
Sure thing.
And still ahead at 5, a new report has a list of the best and worst careers of 2018. We'll tell you what they are. Stay with us. A new report has rated the best and worst jobs of 2018.
Meg Oliver has the story from New York.
Most days, I am very excited to come to my job.
Jessica Martineau is a genetic counselor at NYU Langone's Perlmutter Cancer Center, a career she chose after she was diagnosed with a genetic heart condition at 25.
It made me realize that I want to help patients who are going through a similar situation.
For the first time, an annual report from CareerCast ranked Martineau's gig the best job of the year.
Genetic counselors are really in demand. The genetic testing landscape is changing a lot right now.
Rounding out the top 5, mathematician, university professor, occupational therapist, and statistician. CareerCast online content editor Kyle Kensing.
They all share high pay, high growth outlook, favorable work environments, and typically a low level of stress.
At the other end of the spectrum, a job feeling a lot of pressure from ride-sharing apps like Uber and Lyft.
Do you know the worst job on the list?
Tell me.
A cab driver.
Logger, newspaper reporter, retail salesperson, and enlisted military personnel rounded out the worst of the worst. Martineau says becoming a genetic counselor is one of the best decisions she made.
It was a perfect combination of both nerdy science and getting to relate to people.
In the next 8 years, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates the healthcare profession will grow by another 29%. Meg Oliver, CBS News, New York.
We will return with another check of your forecast in a moment. Stay with us.
Just a stray shower this evening, then less humid tomorrow.
CBS Evening News coming your way next. We'll be back in 30 minutes for News Street 6.